Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Sim Racing Expo 2022. There is so much going on right now. I just did a bit of commentary there with Alex Goldschmidt with our professional trophy. They're into the second hour of 6. It is currently Williams Esport that lead the way from Triton Racing. About 1.1 second is the difference, and they've got Unicorns of Love, everybody's favorite livery, chasing them down. About 13 seconds the difference. So with that being 4 hours left in the race, anything could happen. 10,000 euros on the line, and we will keep you updated as we go through the day. But also, you can check it out at simracing.gp on YouTube. The full broadcast is indeed there. Maybe you can have us on one TV screen and then that on another. We've also got loads of panels left to do today as well, including a very special one is coming up next. We then got tomorrow, which is the final day, and should be super, super exciting with an NASCAR race, which I'm super excited for, at Daytona, so absolute carnage for sure. We've also got the GT500, one of the most historic sim races in the history of sim racing. And we've got a game show as well. I have no idea how that's going to go down. It's my job to know this, but I don't know. So that is going to be carnage in itself. And then, well, some well-deserved beers. So the next topic is all about sim racing to real racing. And well, to help me discuss this topic, I have 3 very special guests indeed. I would like to welcome up onto the stage for this, Andy Gülden, a race driver and chief driving instructor at the Nürburgring. Woo! You'd like to take a seat on the far left there, bud?
Thank you very much.
Guest number 2, Team E-Brit driver Yvonne Houffelaar. Hello.
Hello.
Take the far left there, bud. You sit in the middle there, Yvonne. And then final guest here, we've got Lukas Niedertscheider, YouTuber and TCR race driver.
Hello.
Hello. So welcome to all of you. The question I always ask is, Sim Racing Expo, how incredible is this?
I mean, I take the first word?
Yeah, you crack on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's also a pleasure to be up here now and talk a bit about sim racing and real racing as well. I've been at the Sim Racing Expo last year, but this one is really a step up, I have to say.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic. It's so many people here, and it's really good. I enjoy to meet all these guys. Normally I know them all from the Discord channels, and now we can meet us live here. That's quite awesome, and yeah, with all these shops, all these supporters here, it's super nice. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, the same. It's nice to meet everyone and build new contacts, because a lot of people I know indeed also from Discord or YouTube or something, and it's nice to meet them all in person and just have a little chat.
I think we'll start from sim to real racing. Let's just start with the differences, shall we? What are the major differences and what are the major similarities between the two?
I'd say the major differences are, I mean, it's the virtual racing is, of course, at home, or the sim rig. You don't have the G-forces, you don't have the smell and so on. And then another difference, of course, is you don't have the event type like real racing weekends have. You have people who go there, you have a big racetrack, crowded place and so on. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest difference, and as well, you don't have like a pit crew. So I think that's as well a big point.
And no grid girls, so that's quite a shame. So I miss the grid girls. First of all,
hey, I can send you videos of me on Discord if you like being a grid girl. I'm down.
No, I think the only difference.
What about grid guys? Actually, come on.
Yeah, let's do it. No. I think the racing is completely the same. I really love it. So I'm the opposite way. I'm from real to sim racer. And I really
leave, I'm afraid.
No, I really enjoy it. So because the racing is completely the same, the pressure, all the strategy work. I really enjoy this. The teamwork. Okay, you don't have the mechanics around, but you have your teammates, and you can you can join all this much more intense. So in real racing, if you have your stint during an endurance race, so you do your stint, you jump out of your car, you say good luck to your teammate, and that's it. And then you can have a look to the split times on the dash, and that's all. With sim racing, you have so much more opportunities. You can drive with your teammate live with different camera positions. You have so much more programs around, strategy programs. You can see what is your opponent, what is he doing. So I really enjoyed the feeling, the team spirit is, to be honest, it's so much better in sim racing.
Maybe you've been in bad teams in real racing?
No, for sure. Team spirit is in real life also awesome, but the event, the feeling, you can coach your teammate live. So this is much better. I really enjoy sim racing.
Your passion is very obvious, by the way. Very obvious. It's brilliant.
Well, what I miss a little bit in the sim is the adrenaline. I don't really have that in the sim. I'm always very in control and relaxed, and I always say to my teammates, just drive and don't forget to enjoy, because they're getting very nervous. And when I get in the car, I feel when I close the visor, then I know, okay, now it's on, and then the adrenaline begins to flow, and then you hear the engine going, and have a time for yourself before the race starts. And it's really good. So I think maybe with the motion rig, I tried it yesterday, and I think that's already a lot better and comes a lot closer than just a normal sim.
Mind-blowing, isn't it?
I mean, of course, when you're driving in a real race car, the whole level of excitement is higher, because you get suited, you get into your overall, put your shoes on, you put your hand system on, your helmet on, your gloves on, you go into the race car, the seatbelt gets really, really tight. I mean, that's an amazing feeling. Sim racing can't do that. But as Andy said, sim racing has a lot of other amazing opportunities, like in team racing, in endurance racing, with coaching your driver. But sim racing is also, I mean, I always have to laugh a little bit, because the mistakes and also the overtaking, the strategy, not like as team, also as driver, is very, very similar to real racing. So is there a gap? Isn't there a gap? So the whole procedure of judging your movements is, I'd say, 100% the same, and that's really amazing to enjoy.
Is there anything in particular that has helped you hugely, either from real racing to help you in sim racing, or from sim racing to help you in real racing?
I started with the sim to learn the track, and I drove at a couple of tracks in England that I didn't know that they exist. So it's really good to learn the track, and of course there are a little bit of difference in there sometimes, or a different layout, but the base you know, and that's already a good start.
Yeah, I think what I learned during my career, when I started with karting, when I was a kid, so what it's all about, it's about concentration, about getting into the right mood to handle your race car in a proper way. So it's all about concentration, and sim is totally the same. So my little son, he's 12 years old. Together with my wife, we had a little discussion. So what should we do with our young gun? And we was talking about maybe karting, or maybe a PlayStation, or maybe a bigger sim. And I said, no, come on, let's buy a good simulator, and let's start this way. Because karting, you need a lot of money, you need a lot of time, and I don't have both of it. So we made the decision, and it's so nice to see, especially young people, young guns. We try to support them also in our team. It's so good to see how focused they are, still the kids. So if they have free practice, okay, they play around and they do crazy things also in training. That's quite normal. But as soon the qualifying session starts, or also during these endurance races in the simulator, it's so good to see how focused they are, and to get used to the keyboard, to get used to these programs. So this is, I think, very, very important, and also for a parents, it's super important also to give them the knowledge how to behave in the middle of the internet, and how to handle this. So we realized very quick that the community of this whole sim racing, it's a really big family. So all of the other drivers, or most of the other drivers, are really friendly. They want to help. So they are much better connected. And we're really enjoying being part of the community. So it's just awesome.
Just to go on from your point there, we'll skip ahead a little bit because of where you've just gone with that. Negativity in terms of an incident. If you have an incident in the real world, of course, it's not ideal. Same as sim racing, but there's a massive difference. You get a Discord message from someone, right, on the old sim racing venture. But when it's in the real world, you can have a face-to-face talk with each other. How have you found the differences between the two?
Yeah, I have to say, if you do a mistake in real racing, push another driver out, after the race you go to the stewards and have a nice meeting. Most of the time it's not so much fun there, because if they blame you, you can't talk your way out there. I mean, it's important because on the other side, on the sim racing, you don't have, in big competitions there is live race control, but if you have normal racing under the week, you mostly have the race control from the simulation, which isn't working so precise, to be honest. But that's okay. So the drivers bring in more fairness in sim racing than in real world racing. But of course afterwards, if there is an incident, I think it isn't that bad that you can't talk directly with the other person. You can write over Discord or so on, but you can cool off a bit, and you can take a step back, maybe watch the replay right after the incident, and you can say, oh, okay, that was not a gap. Because, if you're in a race car and you see a gap, it's not always a gap. So, and then you have the problem, someone goes out, goes off. It's not fair, of course, that's part of racing. And afterwards you say, there was a gap and it's not my fault. And you really can't, take a look at it afterwards. And in sim racing, you make the same mistake, you hit replay, you watch the scene again, and you see, okay, it was my mistake, my fault. I think that's quite nice because it's, you can talk more on eye to eye with the people, and it's not so it's your fault, it's your fault. Yeah.
You should put out a t-shirt, by the way. You may see a gap, it's not always a gap.
Yeah, I'll try that.
How have you found it?
Well, I found it better in person. I had both, and if I did something wrong, I'm the first one who was apologizing and said, I'm sorry if it ruined your race, because it's not my intention. Unfortunately, when I drove on the racetrack, I needed to go to the hospital, so I couldn't talk with them, because the ER time was a little bit longer than I thought.
That's the extreme silver lining.
So I sent a message on Instagram because I didn't know the driver. I was still a little bit new, and I just sent a message from, I'm very sorry, I just saw the footage and he just couldn't avoid me. And it ruined his race as well. So, yeah, I felt a bit bad, also for the team, because they're working hard also, and there is always a whole team behind, and that's with every driver. So, yeah. I like to apologize more in person or in Discord, send a message, and especially online, sometimes it happens and then you're thinking, what happened here? So then you just watch the replay back and say, oh, this is not my fault, or oh, I'm sorry, this is my fault.
Well, for me personally, I always have to think twice, because as a driver, so my decisions are just my decisions. But now as a team boss, and I am a team boss of our sim racing team since 1 year, so everything escalates quite quickly. But now as a team boss, everything changed. So in all our meetings, I always say to our drivers, hey, come down, please take care. Everything, we have so many cameras around, everything is official. So we want to enjoy our sport. And therefore it's always, it's so important to have a good behavior. And this is also, once again, it's so important for young guns, for young drivers, to get taught also with the right behavior. So sometimes it's good to have all these possibilities to have this replay in different camera positions. That's perfect to have to make a good decisions for the race control or for the stewards. Yes, but at the end I'm missing the old times sometimes when I think back, Senna against Prost. So I think this was sometimes quite a little bit dirty, but some of dirty moments are also nice moments. So it's quite difficult for us. But at the end, with all these discords, all these chat rooms, and the live chats, no, we want to have fun and we don't want to create shitstorm. So I think that's important, and that's quite a little bit dangerous out there.
I'm quite baffled that you're all racing drivers and you took the perspective of when you've made a mistake opposed to when someone's made a mistake against you. Are you really racing drivers? You should be admitting to that. Have you ever driven a car, driven a circuit that's in real life that's given you more appreciation for what you've experienced with that same car or same track in a sim, in terms of realism?
Well, I'm looking forward now to Genoa, because in Genoa, together with our main sponsor, with Deutsche Payment, we, together with my teammate Mark Henritzi, with Alex Autumn, we will drive again the 24 hours of Dubai.
Wow.
So, and our car, it will be a Cup Porsche, will have the same livery, the same skin, with our Deutsche, or the same like our iRacing car. So it will be super funny. I'm really looking forward to this, and that's quite such a funny moment from sim to real and back to sim again, because 1 week later we do the 24 hours of Daytona in the sim again.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, so it will be funny.
I mean, it's amazing how good you can transfer the racing in real life to sim racing and back to it. So I've been practicing Porsche Cup car for racing Croatia in Rijeka. And before that, I've never driven in Rijeka and I've never driven a Cup car. So I decided to go into Assetto Corsa and take it for a few laps. And coming to the racing weekend, I stepped into the car, went out the pit lane, and it was like I've been driven there since maybe 20, 30, 50 laps.
Wow.
You know, and it takes so much effort to go on a racetrack which you've never seen and drive a car which you've never driven, and get fast there. So the simulator really helps nowadays, because you have those laser scan tracks which are really precise to the real world, and also the physics in the simulators with the cars, which are mostly often really they come out with in cooperation with the manufacturers. And if you have good equipment at home, you really have a lot of similarities. I mean, the steering, the viewing technique, also braking technique, and nowadays with braking pedals on the simulator where you can push like 80, 90 kilograms on the brake. I mean, that's amazing. You can really fine-tune your trail braking, and this is very, very helpful, like in a Cup car where it's it's so important to have a good braking technique. And coming back from the racing weekend, I said, well, it went well. Let's jump back into the simulator. And I was instantly a second faster than before I got to Rijeka. So you saw the progression for the racetrack, and then you saw the progression for the simulator, and that was just amazing to see.
Well, I noticed even in another car in the sim, but going back on the same track like Snetterton or Silverstone, it's going instant now already better than it did before. And even I drove those tracks many times, many hours in the sim. it is something different in real life, and I think it's very difficult to explain. You need to feel it a bit, and then it's going also better in the sim, and that's good.
Well, I'm a little bit jealous because you drive so nice tracks in the UK. You have so many super nice tracks. I really love them all. Well, I have only the chance to drive on this boring racetrack like the Nordschleife.
I would like to join you.
I have to drive the Nordschleife. That's my home. And it's so funny to see how realistic everything is. So I'm used to the Nordschleife with every kind of cars. At the moment, I'm a proud driver of the digital NLS, the DNLS. I do both. I do the NLS with the Toyota Supra GT4 and the DNLS with GT3R with a Porsche. And it's funny because we have high raters in our team, and we changed the position. So normally I am the instructor, the real life instructor, and I teach our customers how to handle the Nordschleife. In sim now it's different to find the last tenths, and we are always looking for performance. To find the last tenths, you have to train a lot. You have to improve yourself, and we changed. Now the high rater is the instructor, and I am the student. And it's funny. It's also very interesting to learn from our high professional sim racers. It's funny. It feels weird sometimes. But now at the moment, my homework is not driving the GT3 car. No, my homework is I have to drive the Cup Porsche, just to get a better feeling for the inputs, just to be more smooth on the brake pedal, on the steering, because if you drive the GT4 in real life, you need a little bit more power behind your inputs. So it's super interesting, and just the fact that I'm the student feels strange. Yeah.
From a coach's perspective, where does it, where does helping to learn new techniques to improve in the real world from the sim become bad habits?
I didn't get the question actually.
So, trying to learn new techniques to improve your real racing via the sim, how can that transition to bad habits, or when does it become bad habits?
That's a very good question.
It's difficult. I think there is no bad habits now from sim to real. Only the fact that if something goes wrong, you can press the escape button. But everyone knows to be successful or to finish a race on first place, first you have to finish the race. And this is, I like it pretty much in iRacing. I'm not very used to Assetto, and I think they have the same system, but especially this iRacing system with the rating. So you have this iRating and you have this safety rating. And especially in the beginning, the focus is on your safety rating. So this is also good for the young drivers. They get used to don't crash. They get used to don't drive on the grass. So you have to stay on the black line between the two green areas. That's important. So I think that's quite cool. But at the end, you have to take care. In sim racing, it's easy when I think to Mootkurve, which is a super fast corner. I think a lot of guys know the Mootkurve on the Nordschleife. So in real life, you will never overtake someone in the middle of Mootkurve. In sim, you see it so often because you don't have to be scared. So if you crash in Mootkurve, for sure you will hurt yourself in real life. In sim, not. So I like the fact that you cannot hurt yourself, but maybe that can be a bad habit.
Yep, because I think on the simulator, you have the possibility to find your limits from the top down, but that doesn't work in real life, you know. So you have to work yourself up from down to your limit in real life because you don't want to crash the car every couple of laps. But you know, if you do that on the simulator, because you try like Woodkurve or Schwedenkreuz corners like that flat out in the first try, because you say if it doesn't go right, then okay, it's not working. But if it works, I don't have to try it like 20 laps. But in real life, you don't do that. So, but I don't think that's a habit you will transfer from sim racing to real racing. But because as soon as you are in a real race car, I think you get it that you are in the real world, and if you crash the car, you might hurt yourself.
Sure.
Well, I think as soon as you go to the track itself and you go to the pit box and see everyone, see the car, you also realize, okay, this is real. So you're not gonna go full out the first lap. It's in the sim, it's different. You see a lot of barging around, and I don't like that. So I like more the endurance racing and keep it consistent, keep it clean. I like the clean racing.
Oh, I've seen some endurance races this year in real life.
Yeah, they were also not very clean, some, but hopefully most of it is. And I really like to do that. And the sprints, you see them all elbows out, and that's not how it goes in real life. And sometimes I try to tell them also a bit friendly, maybe you should do it different, and you will enjoy it eventually also more. Yeah. And as soon as you go to the real track, you know it's all real, and you're not going to do that, or at least I hope you're not going to do that.
For you, Yvonne, here, which has helped you more mentally to prepare for racing, sim racing or real racing?
Oh, well, I like to be prepared always, so I'm always too early. Same in the sim, also too early. I just use the sim to know the track, to get more experience if they have the car, because that is sometimes a thing. I really need to look where I can find the race car that I drive. Then I'll do laps with that. But most of it, it's just doing laps, getting the experience in, and that's all what I do in the sim to go to the real track.
Perfect. So whenever you want to come to the Nordschleife,
yes,
feel welcome. So then give me a call, and then we can do some laps together
to.
on the Nürburgring. Yeah.
The best thing you can ever do. I never want to do it again, though. I went around with Moritz Lohner this year, and Nick Hanke. Absolutely, it was the best thing I've ever done. Yeah. Don't need to do it again.
Last year for the Expo, we were at a hotel next to the Nordschleife, and it's in the game. And I'm doing 3-hour race at the Nordschleife, and I'm streaming then also 30 laps. And every lap you hear, oh, that's the hotel where we slept. So, yeah, it's great. It will be a dream come true.
Perfect.
Go on the Nordschleife.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you.
I ruined my team's 24-hour last year because I didn't realise it was going to be dark when my first stint happened. So I've been practicing in just daytime. Didn't go well. There's no lights around the Nordschleife, that's for sure. My next question is, what would be your number one piece of advice as an instructor? Either sim or real?
Yeah, stay focused. Stay focused. Be prepared. Like Yvonne says, that's important. I think you cannot jump into a race car and touch the limit quickly. It's too dangerous, and it's the same with the simulator. So prepare yourself. That's important, and try to stay alive. That's I think that's
a very good start.
Good, real good advice. That
makes sense.
Yeah, just a little bit more passion. Maybe you cannot win the race in the first corner. So
unless it's Monza.
Yeah, we're looking for that. It will be interesting tomorrow, the GT 500. So we are also taking part of it with Deutsche Payment Esports. But like Lukas says before, so you always need also cars to make a nice field. So we are not the front runners, for sure not. But yeah, we're just proud to be part of it.
I mean, I think I'm working as an instructor as well in real life. You always try to get your customers to feel more into the car. I think that's in real life it's very important to get a feel for the car, to know what it's doing. You know, you feel much more with your body than that you think. So I think that's very, very important to get a feel of the car, and also to be very aware of your viewing technique, because it's always the same in real life when you do like little slalom parkouring, or maybe also on the racetrack. If there's a mistake, most of the times it's the viewing technique, because you were looking somewhere else and then you drive somewhere else. You know, like Walter Röhrl said, if you how did he put it? If you see the tree you're hitting, it's understeering, and if you hear the tree you're hitting, it's oversteering. And the thing is always you have to look where you go, because you want to, in the end of the day, you want to hit the tree, or you want to hit. You don't want to hit the tree. You have to look be beside the tree, you know, and you also have to look where you want to go. You have to look at the curbs. You have to look at the gap where you want to go, and that's something you can transfer to sim racing as well. The viewing technique is like some of the key factors in racing and sim as in real racing.
Have you seen the Tobii eye tracking over at the Logitech stand?
Not yet,
so
but
that'd be a useful tool for sim racers.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Wow, yeah. I guess for you, has there been any teammates that you've had that maybe feel like they're a little bit faster or a little bit more developed than they actually are? They've got a little bit ahead of themselves. And again, for you guys, that more to do with the coaching, I guess. You've had someone come in thinking that they are Lewis Hamilton already, and they've just kind of let themselves down a touch.
Well, the most teammates that I help are actually quicker than me, but they have a much better pedal input than I can do with my legs. But I can help them with the lines, and we go through the Motec data, and then we can see, okay, if you turn a little bit less or a little bit more, or brake a little bit later or earlier, that's how I can help them. And I'm going to try to drive with the hand controls. I found a very good system here. So when that's available, I'm going to try it. And hopefully I will gain some pace, so that will be nice. Because I like to win. I say that honest, but I know there is more in it. And I want to get the best out of it every time I'm in the sim. And now I'm just helping others and driving myself a little bit more on the back now. But that doesn't matter. I'm glad to help other people. And that's why we're rebranding now Eating Bread, because it stopped. So we're now a United Sim team together with Soph, with my partner. We're doing this. And it's united because I want to help everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from or you have a disability or not. Everyone is welcome. And we try to get the best out of everyone with the pace, with the game they are doing. It's all good. So I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to do this now. And hopefully that's all working out very well.
Sounds very nice.
Thank you.
Absolutely, sounds super. From sim to real, so this is my experience now in our Nürburgring Driving Academy. So we do formula courses, events on the GP circuit, and it's so funny now because I always ask in the beginning in our theory session, what is your experience? And then the hands rising up, and a lot of guys say, okay, I have a lot of experience in sim racing, and now it feels good. A couple of years ago, I was a little bit scared when they said, oh, I have so many laps on PlayStation. But now I realize that the level of sim racers is so good. When we do this lead and follow on the GP circuit, we do, one installation lap, and then we speed up very quick, and we can really push them, and sometimes I have to close the door to stay in front, so it's quite funny with them. Yeah. So the level is super good, and it's always good to meet sim racers in the paddock. So feel free. They are all invited. When you see me in the paddock somewhere at the Nürburgring, give me a kick, and then we can have a little chat about sim racing. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as Andy said, like 6 years, it was. If somebody said I'm driving a lot on the sim, you were like a bit, suspicious if this helps. But I think there has been so much going on in the last couple of years, which really improved the level of sim racing regarding the things you have to do in it. I mean. The thing is, sim racing is the only esports where you do exactly the same thing as in real world driving. So if you're doing FIFA or something like this,
you're taking all my lines from a commentary at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean I think that's it. And if you look at it, it's really interesting to see people coming from sim racing doing very good there. Like, I mean, a good example is, I think, Tim Heinemann, which won the DTM trophy twice now, and is really a fast driver in real racing, but was before in sim racing. And I think that shows how much potential the sim racing, the whole sim racing world has.
He won a race last weekend on Gran Turismo 7 as well.
Yeah,
He's gone back, and he doesn't really do sim racing at all anymore.
No. He has
straight away back to
P1.
Yeah. Like,
I think at some point you just have it, and you don't need to practice it all day. And it's like a good example is Tim. I think he has it in his muscle memory so good, and he just takes it off and does it. And that's why he is a real pro in this sport.
You've just opened up another question, actually. So, can you step away from sim racing for a period of time and then come back to it and be really quick? Can you do that in the real world?
I think you can, but I think you need maybe a little bit more time to adjust than in the simulator. But if you reached a certain level in no matter what sport you're doing, I think you will always be good at it. But of course, if you don't sit in a race car for 3 or 4 years and you come back, I think you have to get used to it again, because maybe something's changed since then. But actually, I think it's possibly in both ways.
Well, I stopped 9 years ago due to my disability, because I couldn't use the pedals very well anymore, and I was at the point that I couldn't be competitive anymore. And I always said I'll stop when I'm not competitive anymore. That was one of the things that I was really strict on. And now, 9 years later, I had the chance to drive again due to the sim, due to Gran Turismo, just for fun, that we played it, joined the team, and then I get a message on LinkedIn that I needed to read 3 times to make sure if I understand it well, that I could drive with hand controls. And 2 weeks later, I was in the car. And of course, it's the same feeling like then, and it was amazing to be back. But it was difficult in the beginning with the hand controls. It felt really different, and I needed to adjust. I needed some time to get quicker, and I was very cautious in the beginning because I wasn't sure what the car was going to do. Especially with the hand controls, it felt very different. So, it was quite a change from pedals to hand controls, but much better now than it was before.
Well, obviously, you had to deal with the disappointment, right, of not being able to race at the level you wanted to race. When you got that opportunity, was it an instant, back in the car?
Yes, well, I needed to read it 3 times if I understand it well, and then I showed Soph, do I understand this well? So I showed her, yes. Okay, so 2 weeks later I was driving on Silverstone on the Grand Prix track. So that was great. It was a great opportunity, and I took it with both hands because it was always my dream. And my dream is to go to Le Mans to drive in 7 or 8 years, and we are going to work hard to build up the license, build up the experience, get some sponsors involved, and see if we can go for the high goal.
Absolutely.
No, very nice. I think it's just important to have some talent, but it's lovely to hear that, to grab the opportunity to take the chance. That sounds awesome for me. And I think I cross my fingers for you. And it's at the end, it's your decision if you want to do the 24 hour of Le Mans. Did I understand it right?
Yes, it was always a dream since I started go-karting when I was 7. and it was always a dream to go there because I always had back problems, so I wasn't very interested in the F1 cars, and then sitting like that, and that's not going very well, so the GT suits me much better.
I know there is another 24-hour race, which is also quite famous.
Live.
Yeah, maybe.
I will be interested. Yeah, I know about it.
No, it's good fun at the end. So I think it's this sim racing. It's so helpful, especially for the young drivers, to find their way. And for me, it's such a big surprise that if I join on the practice server, if I do these official races, to realize that we have so many talents out there, so many good drivers. They know how to behave, how to bring your car in the right position for your fights for position. So that's awesome, and this is the pool of rookies. It's good to see that we have so many talents out there, and it's quite a shame that not all of them have the chance to step into a real race car. At the end, we are here for fun, and it's good to see that we have a lot of good racers and high talents out there. Tim Heinemann is a good example. I think the way from sim to real, it's more easy, much more easy, because I do the opposite way. I did from real to sim, and in the beginning I was struggling a lot.
It's because you lose feel, right? You've got so much more feel in a real car. When you go backwards, you lose feel. But it's where if you go from sim to real, it's like you're feeling it through your bum.
It takes weeks and it takes months. And at the end, we are all patient. So we want to perform. So that's in our mind. So we want to perform. I want to perform. And in the beginning, I become angry, and it's difficult for me to wait. I don't like waiting. It's a waste of time. But I went through this period, and then you get this first success. Okay, now I'm able to hold the car on the track. Feels good. Okay, now let's have a look to the lap times. Okay, they become better and better. And once you got the feeling for it, and now I'm totally in it. I really, really like it so much. And once again, it's good to have these races with the whole community out there.
I have to say, the thing is, when you step from a real race car into the simulator, as you said, you don't have, you were used to all the feelings, and then you have to get back just to viewing and maybe feeling a bit. And what helped myself a lot was actually good equipment. So I think if you are used to a good steering wheel on the race car, you are used to your proper hard brake pedal, and you go to the simulator and then you have like a floppy, loose braking pedal. It doesn't work for me. So there are people in the simulator who are doing crazy lap times with super cheap equipment. I wasn't able to do that. I had to get myself good pedals to do a proper braking, like in the real race car, and also a really good wheelbase to get the good feelings, and that helped me a lot. On the other hand, if you go from the simulator then, and you learn a new car, a new track, and you go onto the real race, into the real world and real racetrack, it's amazing how much more information you suddenly have, and it's way more easier than to control everything. Yeah, that's super interesting.
If you were to look at a pyramid historically, karting would be at the bottom, wouldn't it? And then you'd have debatable what the next step would be, but karting would be at the bottom. How viable is it that sim racing now joins karting, or what does sim racing need to do for that to be an equal opportunity of getting into motorsport?
Well, the best thing, or a very big plus in terms of sim racing is there are no limits in case of driving time. So That's super important. You don't have to think about, okay, I have to buy new tires, I have to fill up, refuel my car, whatever. I have to book a track. So this, I don't have to do it. There is no planning behind it. So if I want to do sim racing, I only have to press a button and here we go. So your driving time, and this is what is so important for a race driver, especially when you do endurance races, and your cockpit, you have 2 or 3 teammates, then it's always a fight. Oh, he did 2 laps more than me, I want to do it again. Can I drive some more laps?
Not my team, we just let the fastest driver do the most laps.
Yeah, that's so. In sim, it doesn't matter. So you can join in a practice session wherever you want, and your driving time is much better. So the decision, if you think about karting or sim racing, go for sim racing.
Well, sim racing is in the end much cheaper than go a season of Rotax Max in the karting. Then you also have a rookie season in the car. So. Yeah, I think sim racing is a good way to start, especially also for children, or if you have children at home and you're driving it yourself in the sim, put the child in the sim and try it out and have a try. And I think it's much cheaper in the end to start with the sim, and there are more people looking, especially since the COVID period, there are more people looking to the sim racing. And there's more out there now than there was before, or at least that's how I feel it and how I see it. And I hope it stays that way, because it's a good way, I think. And there are a lot of young drivers out there who are very fast.
You say about kids, like there's pictures of me in my dad's car with the steering wheel, but now I've got my kids in my sim rig with the steering wheel, like it's crazy.
Times change.
Yeah, it certainly does.
I mean, I think if you look at the ladder, as you described, from karting to maybe then formula driving, and more upwards. I think you have to look at it. What do you want to achieve? If you say I want to be a professional in race driving, I think the sim racing gives you the opportunity in the early days to learn viewing technique, steering, all those things, and you can get a real fast driver, handle pressure, etc. Because that's all stuff you can do on the simulator. But if you want to be in a real race car one day, you have to be in a real race car one day. So you have to get that step. Also, I think karting, in the real racing world, you learn a lot of other stuff very well. Handling the media, sponsorships, etc. I think it's also in sim racing, but in at the moment, The people on the pinnacle of motorsports, they are not just professional race drivers. They are media professionals. They have to do a lot more than just driving fast. And in a simulator, it's very put down just to the driving, not just, but a lot of. And if you want to be a really good race driver, you have to be good at networking, making connections, etc. And if you want to do that in the real world, you have to get used to going on an event, going on a racetrack, maybe helping some people, etc. Getting to know new people. I think you have to get used to this bubble of motorsports, not too late to get a feel of it, I think.
Well, we're running out of time here, and I've got one question I really want to get an answer for, so unfortunately you won't be able to give me an explanation as to why. Which discipline is the most competitive, sim racing or real racing?
I'd say, that's a very difficult question. But
don't upset people.
Yeah, don't upset people. No, I'd say sim racing is more competitive because, of course, you have more participants. And, in real racing world, also in Formula One, you have guys there who paid for their seat and maybe they aren't the biggest talents, And it's difficult for a good driver, for a talent, for a young guy to get into motorsports because it's super expensive. We all know that. And in sim racing, you have the chance to really show your talent. I mean, it also takes a bit of an investment, but in the end of the day, you have a more compressed stretch of field in the end of the day, because you have more good drivers out there. And I think the level of competition is much higher. And if you look at the real world-class sim racing and you look at the qualifying times, they are so much closer than in the real world, because the people, they don't drive like for tenths, they drive for thousands, and that lap after lap after lap after lap, and it's, yeah, I think it's way harder to be good there.
Yeah, I think that too, because I noticed in the sim and also at the VCO events.
Oh, we know.
Which are
wow.
very good, but they are very, very fast. And it's really a good format to see also how they're doing. They're getting noticed more, which is also a good part in the sim racing also, like in the real racing, that you get noticed. And if you see those quick drivers, they then give an interview like it's all normal, and I'm just watching. I wish I had a little bit of that talent, but it's far more competitive now, and it's great to see. I started 7 years ago with my laptop and a very cheap wheel just on a desk to try it out.
Oh, we've all been there.
Like we all.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you see it now, a complete rig, and all the people that I know now, it's a lot, and it's grown a lot. So it's great to see also now here and to network a bit around and meet people where I talk with every week on Discord, and now I see you in real life, or you. I listen to you a lot, and now I see you in real life, so that's good. Yeah.
Well, in terms of competition, I think sim racing is on a super high level. It's more competitive. If you look to the lap times, if you look also to the range of drivers, so we have so many drivers out there, we have so many splits, so many races in the race, so that for sure iRacing or sim racing is more competitive. If we talk about the challenges, I think then for sure there is no bigger challenge than driving with an old Porsche around the Nordschleife in wet conditions together with 200 other cars on the track. So yeah, it's hard to give the right answer to this, but both is a big challenge at the end.
The most challenge is in real life. Indeed, racing on the track is the most challenge. But I also see why a lot of people are having the challenge in sim racing, because you can learn a lot from others, and that's why we always try to help around, and also with the series. And I think that's growing a lot now, and helping each other also, like in real life, also in the sim. That's also giving new challenges and saying, oh, okay, I'm going to participate in that, and we'll see how it goes. And I think the challenge is there also, but maybe a little bit in a different way, like it is on the real track.
Sure. At the end, I think that's also important for the young drivers out there to make the right decisions the whole life through. But also, if your plan is to become a professional racing driver, so then it's also kind of a decision. What car should I start with? Maybe it's a wrong way to start with a GT3 car with ABS system and traction control. No, do it the right way. Start with a Formula 4 car. Start with single-seaters. That's the best way, without ABS, without traction control. In these cars, you learn how to drive in sim and also in real life. And then try to become faster, try to become better. And if as soon as you think, okay, now I'm able to win races, now I'm winning championships, perfect. Then go to the next level, into Formula 3, into Formula Renault 2.5, whatever. And then you can also jump into touring cars, into GT3 cars. But driving with ABS, with traction control, it's always much more easy. So I learned from karting into Formula Renault, into Formula 3. So these cars was so good for me, because in those light cars, everything is so precise that you learn how to drive. And Then when I jumped into the touring car, into the Zack-Speed Viper years ago, it was like a toy. Everything was like in slow motion, yeah, because of the weight of the car. So it was a big advantage in my days. But therefore, I say start with single-seaters.
Perfect, short, sharp answers there at the end. We could speak for hours, I think, of this. It's been an incredible panel. I want to say a huge thank you for all your time, and hopefully you enjoyed that at home. Well, now we're going to go check out some action. I think we're in the third hour now of the professional trophy with Alex and Paul.